something here.
Ciao everyone, welcome back to our channel. We are the
GVCs.
I still can't say it right. GVC. Sorry we've been away for a while. We had a baby in August, so we've been busy with her. And if you're parents, then you already know how that is. This video is really going to be about my infertility journey, which it was a long journey, and you know how I overcame that, because obviously I had the baby. So forgive us if we get emotional, because it is something that is very emotional. It's been on my heart to make this video for a long time, and I'm finally getting around to it. So just bear with me. You might see me looking at my phone because I took some notes on certain things that I wanted to speak about. So just starting from the beginning, I never really wanted to have children growing up. Like, that was not something I dreamt about. It was always like, I thought I was going to be Carrie Bradshaw. Just me and you, just us two. Never really was interested. I didn't start. No, it was before you. I didn't start really wanting children.
I know before, but you changed your mind.
Yes, but I didn't really start being interested in having children until I was maybe in my mid-20s. And I think I met you at, I don't know how old I was,
28.
27 or 28. I think I maybe just turned 27. Well, 28.
28.
28. Because I don't remember the years, obviously. So, you know, I met him and we hit it off. You guys know our story. But from the beginning, we both kind of were on the same page about having children. We both wanted children. That was something that was important for both of us. So after we were married and he came to America, we started to try for a child. And I'm one of those people that always researches everything. I'm trying to look up this. I'm on Googling this. So I was looking up the best vitamins, the best supplements for this, for that, because I just wanted to give myself the best chance that I could possibly give myself. I don't know why I always just felt like it wouldn't just happen for me just off the bat naturally. And sometimes I can become a bit obsessive about things, so I think that's probably why I was just like throwing myself into different supplements and teas, because I bought tea for both of us. Like tea for sperm vitality, tea for...
You did too much.
I don't know, like fertility for women. I bought all types of things and we were taking them, but I still wasn't pregnant, so none of those things worked for us. In the beginning, like, we were just, you know, just having relations as usual. No, not really like tracking with ovulation strips, anything like that. Just using my app. I think I was using Flow, which I like the app Flow, but you know, with those apps, you can't really tell if it's, you know, accurate predictions about your ovulation or not. So I started to get serious and I bought ovulation strips from Amazon. I started like tracking consistently my cycles and trying to see when I was ovulating. And I was testing myself 2 times per day. I was getting peaks, so, you know, things appeared to be fine. But as more time passed, we continued trying. I still wasn't pregnant. So by this point, one of my closest friends who wasn't trying to get pregnant ended up pregnant. And so that's when it really like started to get to me that, okay, something isn't right. You're not pregnant. You've been trying. And I started to feel like I was a failure, because that's like one of the, for a woman that wants children, you know, some of you probably who've been through infertility can relate. That's one of the hardest things, like feeling like your body is not doing what it was created for or designed for. And that's how I felt. So I felt like a failure. And I remember crying like every time I got a negative pregnancy test. After 2 weeks, like I would track, do the baby dance as they call it, and then I would take the pregnancy test after 2 weeks, because people who are like actively trying and tracking, that's what you do. And it was always negative.
And now you don't need to cry because she's crying enough.
Yeah, that's true.
And I told you you're gonna get pregnant, you're gonna have a baby with me. You didn't believe. I
also was like on the brink of being 30, so I'm just really like freaking out. Like, oh, my biological clock is ticking. I really need to have a baby. And it just didn't make sense to me because at the time, we both were extremely healthy. We were living a healthy lifestyle. I was working out. I mean, he's always worked out and been healthy, but you know, I was on my healthy kick, so I'm just like, I don't understand why it's just not happening for me. And I remember I started to take baby aspirin. Was looking up things about that. I said that's supposed to help. I was reading like different articles. I was trying like different everything, but I still wasn't pregnant. And I remember asking you one day, what would you do or how would you feel if we were never able to have kids? And what did you say?
You said.
What did you say?
They said we're gonna have kids. If we don't have kids, we're gonna adopt. But I told you to don't stress yourself.
You told me to not ask stupid questions.
Stupid questions. Don't stress yourself too much because that's going to make more issues.
Yeah, but
it was true also.
In the reality, I just feel like, okay, that's a legitimate question to ask because what if we can't have children? I mean, some people can't. So after 8 months of negative pregnancy tests and everyone telling me that I was just stressed and overthinking, I just still felt in my heart, in my gut, that something was wrong. It just didn't sit right with me because I didn't feel like I was extremely stressed. I was upset and I was stressed at times, but I didn't feel like throughout the entire journey that I was stressed. So I just, I didn't agree with that. And although it hadn't been a year yet, because I think if you're under 30, they want you to try for a year before like doing fertility testing. I still was just like, no, I want to do it. So I scheduled an appointment with the doctor, and I told them, I mean, forgive me, but I lied and told them that we had been trying for 12 months, although we hadn't, because I just wanted to see what was going on. And so she started to ask me different questions about my cycles and like questions about, that would possibly implicate PCOS, like did I have hair, did I have hair, facial hair, things like that, because during the time it was COVID, so we were wearing masks, so she couldn't really see my face, the bottom of my face. And I told her, I do have like chin hairs. I mean, a lot of women do. Just, spoke about different things. I told her my cycle comes every month. I've never really gone without one unless I was like coming off of birth control or something, and I hadn't taken birth control in ages. So she basically said that the first point of action was to like do blood work to see where I stood, and she wanted to refer me to an endocrinologist. So endocrinologists, I'm not an expert, but those are the people that work in IVF facilities. Those are those types of doctors. So she referred me there to do other fertility testing. But the first part, she just wanted to do like a baseline hormone testing on me, and she also wanted to get an ultrasound done. I'd never had an ultrasound before on my pelvic organs or stomach or whatever you want to call it. Never been pregnant before. I mean, never had a need for it, I suppose. A lot of people haven't really had an ultrasound before. So I went as soon as possible to get the ultrasound. I remember I had to drink like a whole bottle of water or 2 or something like that before I arrived. And ooh, my bladder was just about to give up on me. And I finally got there and I lay down for the ultrasound. The lady is telling me, she's like, do you have a history of fibroids in your family? And I say, yeah. And I'm like, what is that? Why are you asking me that? What does that mean? And if you know, most ultrasound techs are not supposed to speak to the patient about what they see. They're supposed to let the doctor explain it to them. But she basically said, oh, you know, don't say that I told you, but you have several large fibroids. And so I remember instantly being just like gutted. I was like, oh my God, like I have fibroids. And I was familiar with them because, you know, several women in my family have had them and gone on to have hysterectomies. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to have a kid now. And I remember calling my mom after I left, and I was hysterical, and she was just like, don't like get too worked up. There are a lot of people who have fibroids that have children, don't have any issues, whatever the case may be. Just wait and see what your doctor says. So I'm like, okay. So they gave me a disc when I left that place. It was like an outpatient ultrasound place, so it wasn't a part of a medical facility. So they gave me a disc with the images. I remember downloading some type of software on my computer so I can see what the images were and see how big they were. And I had some large ones. I think my largest one was like 7 centimeters.
It was like orange size.
And I started doing all types of research about fibroids. And was seeing that for some people they can cause issues. And for other people, you know, it's okay. So I'm just like, let me just go ahead and contact this IVF place that she referred me to so I can start doing the testing. So I contacted them. There was a specific doctor she recommended for me, but that doctor didn't have appointments for like maybe a month or 2 out, and I just didn't want to wait. So they ended up telling me that the more senior doctor at this place had an appointment the next week, and that I could do like a virtual appointment with him, and that they wanted me to do these tests, blood work. So I did the blood work. My appointment comes, and basically, well, actually no, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I do the blood work, and the doctor who referred me to the endocrinologist, she was supposed to contact me about the results of the blood work and ultrasound, and then I would go on to review them with the endocrinologist. So she finally contacted me after a month, which I was just like, this is ridiculous, me having to wait a month just to talk to someone on the phone. But she was some busy doctor, which is why I ended up firing her, because I was taking this serious. I didn't want to wait a month just to speak to somebody for 12 minutes. So during that month, I was researching, because I did get my blood work back and I got my numbers, and my estrogen looked, I don't know, it didn't look so well. My FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, was a bit high. I think at the time it was like 12.5, and I think it should be under 10. So, you know, I'm just learning. I was just reading and researching about different things and what those things mean, and some of the things were saying like, what is it? Premature ovarian insufficiency or things like that. So I have all of these things in my head. So she finally calls me and we speak on the phone about, you know, my results. She essentially tells me everything I've already, you know, discovered from researching. So I was pissed because I spent a month waiting for you to tell me what I've already found out online based on my results. And she tells me about the fibroids, saying how, you know, they can sometimes cause issues, blah, blah, blah. Then she tells me that my estrogen was low for my age, so she really wants me to talk to the endocrinologist. So then that jumps back to what I was saying about the appointment with him. So I get the appointment with the endo. He contacts me. We FaceTime. Bobby was on the FaceTime as well. And he essentially was reviewing the results, the same results that I sent to the doctor. And he told me he didn't think my estrogen was that low, but my FSH was high. And he said it really needs to come down, but it just depends on other factors, whether that would be a primary factor. He said as far as the fibroids are concerned, fibroids are like real estate. Depends on the size and the location as to if they will cause issues. So he really wanted to get me in so he can do these various procedures to see exactly, you know, where they were and if they would cause issues for me. He also wanted to do some semen analysis for Bobby and what was it, HSG, his hysterosalpingogram. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but that's basically the procedure that checks to see if your tubes are open. And if you don't know anything about like how pregnancy and reproduction works, if your tubes are not open, you can't get pregnant. So so he wanted to do those things, and also another thing called it's not the HSG, it's another one that's similar to that, but it's like shooting saline up your uterus. I can't remember the name for that one, but schedule the procedures. Some of the procedures have to be done at a certain point during your cycles, which it was like coming right on those time frames in my cycle, so I was able to go ahead and get them in. My insurance at the time was pretty, I don't say I didn't have good insurance, so I was paying out of pocket for a lot of things because my insurance only covered so much for them, especially for like the HSG. I think I still had to pay like $300 for that, and the other one I had to pay $250 for. So for the HSG went, and I was just freaked out because I was on YouTube watching videos about women who had HSGs, and they were saying how painful they were and how it was just a lot to handle. So I told him, so I'm just shaking nervous on the table when I go for my HSG. And he's just like, relax, like, why are you so nervous? And I told him I was on YouTube, and he was just like, you need to stay off Google, stay off the internet. Because that's you know, he's like, that's one of your biggest problems right there.
It is.
And so I'm like, okay. He shoots some type of numbing solution up there. And let me just tell you how it works. So essentially you lay on a table, they stick speculum in, and then they insert some type of catheter like up, and then they shoot dye into the catheter, and it's supposed to like fill up your uterus and come out of your tubes on either side. And if the dye spills out into the uterine cavity, that means your tube on whatever side is open. So he did like some type of numbing thing on me first, and I'm just sitting there like, oh my god, like I'm waiting, just waiting for the pain to start. He's like, okay, you ready? And I'm like, yeah. So while they're doing this, there's like an x-ray machine that's over top of you that's taking like images of your uterus while they're shooting the dye up. So it's like a little button that they press or push that shoots it. So he was doing it, and I wasn't feeling anything. I'm like, okay, well, this is not as bad as I was thinking. I felt like maybe like a slight cramp or something like that, but it was over, and I didn't really feel too much with that. That was the first time I had it, though. I will say, like, as time went on, I did it like 2 more times, and the last time I did feel it, but for that time I didn't really feel anything. So he ended up telling me, oh, here, he printed off like a picture of the x-ray right in the room for me, and he said, this is what your problem is right here. You have a submucosal fibroid that's inside of your uterine cavity that's stopping embryo from implanting. It's too large, like the embryo doesn't have space to implant, so you need to get it removed. And aside from that, one of my tubes was also blocked. One of them filled and spilled, and then the other one, it filled but did not spill, so it's blocked on the, I think it's the distal end. So you had a proximal, which is closer to the uterus, and then you had a distal, which is closer to the ovary. So it was blocked on the side that's by the ovary. So that was another issue. So I'm just like, oh my god, like I have fibroids, then I have one tube that's blocked. Like what else? Like what else could possibly be going on with me? So he said, okay, well, I want to go ahead and do the other procedure, the one they shoot the saline up to, just to actually like see, you know, if we can work around it. Because sometimes they still try to recommend IVF, or maybe it doesn't need to be removed, but he wanted to get a real like grasp of where it was. So did that procedure, scheduled that procedure, and went in. So he's looking. This one didn't hurt at all. He's just like, yeah, after the procedure, he said, yeah, you need to get your fibroids removed. And you need to do it sooner than later. And he was like, after you get your fibroids removed, I think you need to go ahead and try for a baby because they're going to come back. Period. He was
yeah,
like,
but we try after 6 months.
No, he was just like, try as soon as possible. That's what he said.
But it's a time zone from 3 or 4 to 6 or something like that after operation, after surgery.
It depends, but I'm just talking about what he said. So he was just like, you need to try as soon as possible because they're going to come back. And he gave me printouts of different surgeons that he recommended. And he told me which one was the best. We're just going to call him Dr. T. I don't want to say his name. So he said Dr. T was the best. And great results from him. And that I should just contact him. And after my surgery to come back to the IVF clinic.
And you had 5 of them?
I have 4.
4 and 1 small?
I have 4 fibroids. So, I immediately, after leaving that office, contacted Dr. T's office and was like, hey, I want to talk to him about a possible fibroid myomectomy surgery. And they said, okay, we can get you in. I think it was maybe like a week or so from then. And I said, okay. He was in my network, oddly, which worked out great. So, had my appointment with Dr. T. He went over, I brought my printouts of my fibroid images. He said, okay, this is what we can do. We can do a robotic myomectomy, and I can give you a mini bikini cut. So robotic is the one where the Da Vinci machine, where they do small incisions, 1, 2, 3 on your stomach. And it's like a robot machine, so it has arms. It puts the arms in you, and it's like a camera, and it's like robotic arms inside of you that they can use to grab things or whatever. If you're not familiar with it, just look it up. So he said we can do that with the mini bikini cut, and I think he told me 6 months. After 6 months, I could start trying. He was very, what's the word I'm looking for, positive about doing the surgery, and that he would be able to remove everything and not cause me too many issues. And I asked him, the other women go on to have children. He said yes. This man is I think he's known for these myomectomy surgeries. He's a very popular doctor for these surgeries, and it's something that he does a lot. He's an OB/GYN, but he's also skilled in robotic surgeries. So this is something he's consistently doing on a weekly basis. So I felt comfortable, and I just liked his attitude, and his bedside manner was great. So, I don't even think I really had many questions. I just wanted to get them out because I wanted to have a baby. So I said, okay. He was like, all right, my assistant will contact you to see, when my schedule is open for surgery. So the assistant contacted me maybe the next day or so. And she's like, oh, he has an opening in, what was it, a week later?
Week late.
A week or 10 days later. And I was like, well, wow, okay. That's fast. And I'm sitting here what am I going to do about my job? Because I don't have any vacation time left, I don't think. So I need to do this surgery. And it needs to happen fast. And I'm going to have to heal and recover from it. So I said, okay, let's go. Let's go with the surgery. Let's see what we can do. And so she said, okay. She started sending me the information. I had to make some type of payment for him up front. I think it was $200 or something like that. And I contacted my boss at my job, and I told her, and she was very supportive. Told me that she wished the best for me, and she wanted me to go ahead and do what I needed to do, and she would work with me. So at the time I was working from home too, so I didn't really feel like I would need just a lot of time because I wasn't walking around. I was doing work sitting down. So I told her I would just take 10 days off, and we went with that. So I was getting everything ready for the hospital. They wanted, I ended up having to pay like up front because like I said, my insurance was crappy. So I had to pay the hospital. I arranged something with them that I only had to pay them like $700 up front before I could do the surgery. So I did all my testing. My mom flew down because she was gonna help me after the surgery. And you know, day of surgery came. Went in for the surgery, and I was so scared. I was just thinking like, what if I don't wake up from this? Because you know, I have had one surgery in the past, which was like removal of cysts from my breast when I was like 16, 17. But you know, I was younger. I wasn't thinking about things. You know, just whatever. It was whatever then. But at this point in my life, I'm just like, what if I don't wake up? So that was kind of something that was like, you know, pegging me while I was waiting. But my surgical team, they were awesome. The nurse was awesome. She was just, you know, joking with me, cracking me up. The anesthesiologist, everyone was so nice and sweet, and they kind of just made me feel like very comfortable and calm. So they rolled me into the operating room, and all I know, they were like, they put this little breathing mask on me. And they're like, okay, just breathe. That's all I remember. And I remember waking up. When I woke up, it's like I had this instant urge, like overwhelming urge to pee. And I was just like begging the person. I was like, can I please go to the bathroom? Can I please? And they said I had to wait until I got discharged to my room, because I was like it's like a waiting room area after your post-op room. You have to wait till you move to your actual room. So I was able to go to the restroom, and this was what is it called? Outpatient surgery, I think. So it was I didn't have to stay overnight. So after the surgery, and after I went to my room, and I was able to use the restroom, I was being discharged. Like I was able to go home. So I went home. Oh my God, I'll elaborate on the surgery at another point, but I just want to say that that first day, like I just felt like I wanted to die. I was in so much pain. Oh my God, like the narcotics and the other pain medicine they had me on just was not helping. Like all I would do is just try to sleep. But anyway, I ended up healing from the surgery. 6 months went by, and we started to try. After 6 months went by, we started to try. So that first month, nothing happened. So then I was like, okay, well, let me just go back to the IVF clinic because he told me to come back after my surgery. So, you know, to start, you know, just making sure to see where I was at, you know, what was going on with my uterus. Because sometimes after surgeries, you can have scar tissue. Other things could possibly be wrong. So I went back and we did baseline testing again. So baseline is just baseline hormonal testing. So at this point, my FSH had gone down, which I'll say about this, during the time of me healing from my surgery, I was also trying to live more, I don't know, naturally. So I stopped using a lot of chemicals, stopped using a lot of like perfumes and things, tried to use natural products in our house. I stopped, you know, putting bleach in the water when I was washing dishes and washing my clothes with bleach, because all of those things have an effect on your hormones. So I was just making a conscious effort to like change things. So went back to do my testing. My FSH had come down to 10.5, which is still a little high because at 0.5, but it wasn't as bad as it was before. I did my progesterone testing to see, that's to see if you're actually ovulating. I was. And I also went in for ultrasound. Ultrasound comes. So I'm looking at the screen. The lady's like, oh, who did your surgery? I said, Dr. T. She says, oh, he does amazing work. And she's looking at she's doing ultrasound, and she's looking at it. She's like, oh yeah, your uterus looks amazing, looks so good. So good. She's like, I'll show you afterwards. So afterwards, she's like showing me the different pictures, and I don't see anything. I was like, okay, all right. I'm positive about everything. I see like a little white circle there, And I was like asking her what it was, and she said it was a little scar tissue, but nothing to be concerned about. So, you know, I leave there happy with my results. Like, I'm happy about it. I'm like, okay, well, you know, things are looking good. So, then, because I'm doing these testings, I'm doing the tests, like, at the office. And for some of these things, I'm not doing with my actual doctor. So, I ended up having to do another HSG again. This one was with a different doctor, and I don't know if she just didn't know me correctly or what, but oh my god, it was so painful. I almost passed out on the table. Like, I had to call out of work for the rest of the day because it was just too much for me. I was crying, everything. Like, I was literally like blacking out on the table. So with this one, same issue. The tube is still blocked on the same side. However, there's nothing in my uterus anymore. It looks good. But the tube is still blocked, so that could still cause an issue. So I asked...
One of them.
Yeah, one of them. So I asked, well, you know, is there a way that the tube can be unblocked? She says, I mean, you can try, but there's no guarantee with it. So that's just in the back of running in the back of my head. After I complete the test, I have a phone consult with my doctor. He tells me, oh... yeah, so your uterus looks, you know, it looks good, but you know your tube is still blocked. At this point, I'm just gonna go ahead and recommend IVF, because with your tube being blocked, it's really, you know, you don't want to waste. He was like, you don't want to waste 6 months doing IVI. Is that what it is? Is that what it's called?
Injection?
Yeah, the one, so there's the other one before you go to IVF, and that's the one where they just kind of like, they just shoot the sperm up to your up through your uterus. That's that one. He was saying that probably wouldn't work well for me because one of my tubes is blocked. So he was just like, do you want to wait? Do you want to waste time doing that, or you just want to move on to IVF, and then we can go ahead and get the ball rolling and see maybe that works better for you. And so I said, well, what about my tube? Like, can it be unblocked? And he said, you know, there is no guarantee, like the other lady said. And he said that sometimes, like, you can open it and it can close again. And then he said, I mean, but I can try if you want me to. I could definitely try. I can try with a, what did he say? With a cannula? I don't know, some type of instrument, surgical instrument. I can't remember the name of. But he was like, I could try to open it. And I was just like, because if it's anything like that last HSG, like, I'm not going to be able to handle it. I don't know if this is something that they, like, put you out for or not. So I was just like, nah. Like, I'm not even going to try that. And then I don't want to waste time either because I'm older. Because he also ended up saying on the call that I had slightly diminished ovarian reserve. So he says essentially that although I was 30, my body, my reproductive organs were working in that of someone who was in their 40s, which is not good. So I didn't have very many follicles on my ovaries when they checked, and my AMH, anti-Mullerian hormone, which that tells how like your ovarian reserve, was quite low for my age. It was 1.11, which I think generally for someone my age it was probably like over 2.5. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know all the numbers off the top of my head, but I do know mine was 1.11, which is quite low. So that's why he was kind of pushing IVF, because he wanted to like do stimulation to help me. So he says, what do you think? And I said, well, I don't know. And he's just like, honestly, Emmanuel, like you just need to go ahead and like think about this, because you know fibroids are going to come back. You don't want to waste your time, so it's up to you.
What was good in that moment, you changed company, we moved to Miami.
Yeah, well, it already happened though.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
About insurance.
Okay.
So previous insurance we needed to pay surgery and everything, but IVF was free for us. We had 2 shots for free.
No, it was
right?
more than 2. I think it's
It doesn't matter. But
however many rounds.
yeah, your
with my
insurance,
new job.
Yeah, your insurance it's much better. Yeah.
Yeah, with the new job, it's covered because right after I had my myomectomy, I ended up starting a new job maybe like a month or 2 later.
Yeah.
So with the new job, my insurance did cover a lot more of my fertility testing, so I wasn't paying as much out of pocket. But it did cover IVF. So once he said, like, you know, what do you want to do? I said, well, just go ahead and we can go ahead and start, you know, scheduling the, I don't know, process of IVF.
That was about 2 months after past 6 months of your surgery, something like that.
It was like 1.5 months.
Yeah.
So he said, all right, I'll have my assistant call you and we can go over it. So during this time that I'm, you know, I told him, okay, I just kind of just want to see about my health, right? Most of the times, you know, medical professionals don't really review your medical records with you. I don't know why. I don't know. It was something in me. Like, I had this gut feeling to just, I don't know, ask for my medical records. I don't know. I'm just like that. So I contacted the office. I asked for my records. They sent me this like 60-page book of all my medical records with these people. So in the most recent ones, you know, I'm reviewing the ultrasounds and the lab work and his notes, which is recommending IVF. I come across the ultrasound. In the ultrasounds and in his notes, they say I have 3 or 4 new fibroids in different places. So I am just outdone, because I remember after speaking to the surgeon when I was going for my like post-op appointments, and I asked him, I said, did anyone's fibroids grow back? Like, that's the only thing I'm afraid of, that they're gonna grow back before I can get pregnant. And I remember crying about it in his office, and he was just like, no, you know, not in my experience with my clients, they haven't, you know. But I'm not saying that they won't, but he's just saying in my experience they haven't, and then if they did, it was at least after a year. So at this point, it's only been 6 months, and I already have new ones, of course, but they were small and in different locations. But I'm just like, oh my God, here you go again. Like, I'm not gonna be able to get pregnant. So I was just so distraught that day. I was so distraught, and I remember that was the day that my company was having a Christmas party, and I was supposed to be going, but I decided not to go, because I'm just like, oh, I was just so distraught. Like, I didn't want to go. I didn't want to be at work anymore after that. So when I came home, I just burst into tears. Like, I had a whole emotional, like, mental breakdown with Bobby, and I was just telling him. He said I need to do IVF, but I have Diminished Ovarian Reserve, and I have new fibroids, which he didn't even, I think I was probably hurt more by the fact that he didn't say anything to me about the fibroids when I was on the phone with him. Nor did the lady in the ultrasound, you know, who did the ultrasound, because she said my uterus looked great. So that's what I was thinking, you know, but lo and behold, I have new fibroids. And so I just remember being here on this couch, and I was just crying.
Okay, long story short, you're doing too much, ma'am. It's already 40 minutes. Listen. After that, what happened was Thursday. I told you to go, because I'm working from Friday to Sunday every week. I told her, one of her cousins, she lives in Atlanta, and she was celebrating her birthday. And I told her to go there and to stay there, so, you know, she can feel better and everything, don't be alone at home. So she went there, and she feels so hungry there, you know. She feels different, you know. And I believe it, you know. I believe she's going to get pregnant. It was just about timing. So on Saturday she came back from Saturday or Sunday? Sunday.
I think it was Sunday.
Yes, Sunday she came back from Atlanta, and she told me, you have some gifts. One of my friends, she sent you one gift, blah blah blah. I said, okay, whatever. And I came after work. It was like maybe 1 a.m. in the morning, and like you can hear our daughter, she's waking up. Yeah. So I opened that gift, and I was thinking it's because it was during of Corona still, you know. I was thinking it's a fever temperature. Thermometer, yeah, fever thermometer. I said, why she sent me this? Like, I don't care about Corona. Corona is over, blah blah blah. But that, do you want to take?
Go ahead. Continue.
Okay, go ahead, take her. But basically that was pregnancy test, and I was so confused, because she told me like 3 days ago we need to do IVF and about her fibroids and everything. So I was confused. It was mixed feelings for me, and I asked who is pregnant. Like I was making jokes. It's because we have dog. I was making jokes. Is Luna pregnant? Who is pregnant? Because I couldn't believe she is pregnant, and I was so happy, But I was even happy more in the morning because that night I was so confused. I couldn't sleep. So happened what happened. And yeah, she said basically from point A until the end what happened to her, and I was her support from first day. She was thinking and she was scared they were gonna leave her because she couldn't get pregnant, but I knew it is gonna happen because I was her destiny, she was my destiny. Previous story already, guys, about that. So now we have small Shiloh. Yeah, I mean she's not anymore small, she's almost 2 months and she's 12 pounds, almost 22 inches. And she's getting bigger and bigger. She's like daddy. She's completely like daddy. You're gonna see on the pictures and videos. We're gonna post it on YouTube. And yeah.
Okay, mama.
You wanna bring her here? Or?
She's not dressed.
Okay, do you want to stop video and after that?
Sunday morning, waking up with you. We got no plans, we got nothing to do.